We gathered here today to welcome Ian Threadgold back to the Reynella Oval. There's a 50-year reunion coming up. So in 1975, the A grade and the B grade won the premiership. But we just want to go back to 1973, Ian, your first year at Reynella. Can you remember coming to the Reynella in 1973? As a B grade coach, then playing A grade.
Yeah, sure do. I moved, had a house in Bonham Street, Reynella. And at the time I was playing at Clara Bar for a couple of years, and I admired the wine flyers' attitude, and I found out that in my street there's 3 or 4 footballers, and Venice, they warned me if I didn't come here I'd get trouble. So it was great. I loved it. 73 was my first year here. It was the old grandstand, which was something else.
Yeah.
I remember we walked into the grandstand very early days, and it had the old bughouse seats in it, the old cloth seats, dust. Not much room in here, so I decided to get some seating done.
Yeah.
I made up some brackets, and I put some timber seats around and bolted it to the side walls to make it a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
And first time we sat on it, pulled out straight away from the wall because it was rolled stone.
Yeah.
So I had to go back to bolting it. So that was my introduction to Reynella, and it was just something. Playing footy, and sometimes it was safer on the ground than off.
Yeah.
Kids running around doing autographs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a great time in '73, and only thing was we got nutted in the grand final.
Yeah.
Got beat by Johnny Narraway. Well, he was coaching Walking Farm.
The B grade.
Yeah, the B grade, and they beat us. So I didn't win the '73 grand final, so it was a bit of a disappointment. But we had some great players. Great atmosphere in the old bughouse.
In '73, obviously the A grade was too. The competition was really strong down here back in those '70s with so many players that come down here.
Oh, I thought we had some fantastic players.
Yes, yeah.
And they were, I met most of them. There was some great players. We came from town. We were playing at south of before, and came to down here, and it was a bit out in the middle of nowhere. I remember Lordy Mager used to have the teams shop.
Yeah.
It's pretty to say he's gone. The Opens cut by, I think, Peter Wright.
Yeah.
Peter Wright interviewed me for the job, which applied for the A grade job, and Jumbo got up. And I was glad about that because he was certainly the key to us being so successful that show.
Yeah. 1974, once again, the A grade, the B grade play in a double grand final.
Yeah.
You don't play the A grade grand finals. You could split premiership, the B grade.
Yeah, I said the that A grade. We had a few out, and the coach playing both reasons, but I got injured in the preliminary final. But we got in the grand final in the B grade. I always remembered after '73 that I thought that there were players that played really well when we were winning well, and I thought when it came to the crunch, I would pick a side in '74 that would be a lot more competitive in the big games.
Yeah.
We managed to win that, which was just something else. And I must say, a lot of lads in that went on to play quite a lot of A grade footy and successful A grade footy. So '74 was good. Again, 2 sides in the grand final '73, 2 sides in the grand final '74. We won the B grade, and that gave us a pretty good excuse to speak on some of our grand which was.
So we moved to 1975, and you 2 old fighters. I'm going to get you the longest money. That's the '75 B grade.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hold the A grade one up here.
Yeah.
But in that B grade side there, what I want to know about that day is you had to coach the B grade team and then go out and play in an A grade premiership. How big a day was that you can remember of that day?
Yeah. It was a big day.
Yes.
Actually, it was a big week because my daughter Amy was born on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And luckily Jen had Amy because she's going to play for me regardless. So came out Saturday, of course, with the Coast B grade. I've been doing it for a little while. I mean, this is my third year of coaching, and I got used to the fact that we had good team players. We had Bobby Lloyd was our captain in '75,
Yeah.
and he was a great player, and he took over the control on the ground.
Yeah.
So it was hard work. Got out of the ground and then had to switch on and go and play A grade. And A grade was a very good win.
Yes.
Really good win.
Yeah. They beat McLaren Flat that day.
Yeah.
And as I said, we spoke about how good the competition was. That McLaren Flat had a lot of next third players playing for it. And Reynella had some really good players, plus a couple of young players like Gary Beasley.
Yeah.
That come along and came into the A grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
A grade team was great. But I do want to talk about a guy called Mark Moffat played football forward. Moff always says that he used to get in his way and he kicked a fair few, some of his goals that he should have kicked. But it's amazing that he kicked about 60 goals that year. You kicked about 38 and Jumbo kicked over 30. So
really?
Between the whole, over fantastic effort.
In 75?
In 75.
Oh, it's interesting to see Jumbo didn't kick more than me because he was the one that you had to kick it in or you didn't get a game.
Yeah.
Moff was a good player.
Yes.
Yeah. He was good for me too because he dropped a shitload.
Yeah.
He dropped a lot of marks, and that meant I had a few scrums to get. Yeah. And but he was a good player and an enigma really. And we got a few stories about Moff that Jan's here tonight. She'd know about the story, so I'll tell it anyway. But Moff was from Kangaroo Island. He was staying with Wes at Val Green.
Yes.
And I thought that was a bit rugged on Wes at Val because they were a little older than us. And so I said, you come and stay with me, Moff, which he did, which meant that Jan had to bring Moff and I home, just not me. So Moff stayed at our place, but he unfortunately got up in the middle of the night on a few occasions and didn't quite find the toilet. He thought the cupboard was the toilet.
Yes.
And I had high-low shag carpet, so he didn't really know that there was any mess there until he walked in there. Anyway, he challenged him and he said, I think it lost a bit of time. So, but Moff being a bit of a character, he's in Dale now, he's in and all that. Yeah, that's a lot more players than can worry about loyalty.
Some of the old people like the Alpha sort of the old blokes that were part of the club. Memories of those people.
Oh, look, I trained every Sunday for 10 years I was here.
Yeah.
I told Jan I was going to train. I actually took my gear here with the old snake pit in the early days, and I never actually trained.
No.
So we'd go downstairs, and there would always be it still brings back fabulous memories of Arthur Tickle.
Yes.
Arthur was always dressed with this suit, a tie on, and just a bloody great bloke. Not real much fun to deal with when you're trying to get a footy into it.
No.
I remember we kicked a footy and no longer over. No footy, so I had to go and beg him to give us another footy.
Yeah.
But he was a great bloke. There was Omar Sharif, which is there was so many good blokes. Bill Fletcher.
Yeah, Billy Fletcher.
Oh, yeah, I think he's off Spiny Henderson's there. The Green State West, they were just something. So we used to sit down there and it was just something. So I think that was part of the reason why our club was so successful, because we had a lot of culture, and we had a lot of enjoyment between us. We were all mates, and I think if you think about it, 73, 76, 77 again, they were all getting into the grand finals.
So in that era with Jumbo and yourself, 73 to 76, A grade, B grade, played at every grand final. That was an amazing time, and as I said, in a hard competition. So, they weren't easy to win. So 75 was very special. Yeah.
Well, I think 75 was a highlight. I mean, we were we were pretty ordinary. We weren't happy about the fact we lost 73 and 74. So 75 was a bit of a salvation.
Yeah.
And 50 years ago, that's a long while ago.
Yes, yeah.
But we had some mates of mine from South, you know, like Ray Henry and Terry Goodwin and there was Russell Gunston was another one. Jumbo was a great player.
Yes, yes.
Phil Tempe was the knuckle man. He fixed up Filky early days.
Yeah.
But in playing against Filky and Gillespie and the Clarence Front Boys, they were a good side.
Yeah, very good team.
Yeah, good boys too. We used to socialise a lot, have a few beers after, and that was I enjoyed that.
Yeah. So just touch quickly what 90 the year after 75. First Jeff Lewis was president and Cyril Armour and the committee they had. So you had a lot to do with Cyril Armour.
Bobby Jordan.
Yeah, and all those people.
Des Halliday.
Yeah, Des Halliday. So there was a lot of, I noticed there was nearly about 50, 60 people came to the AGMs in those days. So everyone wanted to get involved.
Yeah.
Other people probably don't know, but minis, subbies, junior comps, senior comps, big, they agreed all play all the same days. So you had 6 teams playing in one day.
Yeah.
And they were really big days. This area was starting to really grow. So it was a great time.
Oh, we did there was I remember getting the CMF to come out here, and I got my old mate Bluey, who I hope he's still going, and good luck to you, Bluey. He was out here doing some work for the Army, the Second Army. He did all the ovals. We all just park around the outside. You couldn't get a park in almost the whole of Reynella, all the way down when we played Milford Vale.
Yes,
because they were big days, you know.
Yeah.
But, the committee of the day, like Des Halliday was just such a wonderful man.
Yeah.
He was Collingwood mad. He was mad Collingwood, of course.
Yeah.
Cyril was the one that came up to me in 73 and said, "Hey, mate, I think you need a couple of good players. What about?" And we actually had to go to the it was okay for players. We weren't paying anyone those days. And so Cyril tipped a couple of dollars in. Margaret. He was one of my best friends on this. Yeah. Bobby Jordan, well, he was around the place and doing everything. There was just a terrific committee. You had a big committee if you coached any.
So we're just going to finish this interview back inside because it's bloody good.
Well,
we are standing out here.
You probably noticed I've lost all the weight and I'm starting to feel the pinch a bit.
So we're going to sign off and we're going inside to finish off this 1975 50-year reunion.
Sure. Thank you.
Memorial Board. Ian had a lot to do with the start of the community centre with quite a few people from the footy club from the 75 premiership side. But we're in the top section here at the moment. But in 1976, the bottom section was started here. So can you name a few of the people that were involved in that project and that were with you from that 75 team?
Yeah, well, the original concept was I was on the committee and I was in the building game and they asked me to draw up something for the what we as a footy club wanted and go to it was called the Oval Committee in those days. Lloyd Lager and anyway, they got knocked back for a grant and I said, well, I had this drawing all done and Dennis Abbott was the councillor from the council. He was with it and he said, look, he rang me about night and said, hey, how about you reckon you can raise some money and we can get this cranked up? And I said, well, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway, the original building committee was Peter Cole, who played in the B grade grand final in 75.
Yeah.
Alan Potter,
he
was the treasurer.
Yeah.
He was in the A grade premiership side.
Yeah.
Myself, and then Val Green was our colour director. So that was the original group
from the sort of 40. Yeah.
And then, of course, after that, we got it built, and there's a big story behind all of that. And lot of the footballers came and helped, and we slept here some nights and put up walls. And Felix Kalecki, if you remember, Felix Kalecki was he was a concreter. He helped out a bit, and then we then formed a committee from that to part of our constitution, sort of out from that. So it was down the bottom. In some ways, it was fantastic. It was the first club that ever had a licence for a community club.
Yes,
And the council were really happy with that.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we got that cranked up, we always were going to extend, so we extended. We still had the snake pit down in 75.
Yeah.
We still had that with the bottom club.
Yeah.
And then eventually when this was built, which I think we moved in here about 77, 78.
Yeah. So July 78 is when we come running out of the first game.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just a bit of history there. For, 1978.
Yeah.
I'll just go back from the community centre. 1977 in the Southern Footy League.
Yeah.
You did a bit of an MC job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what you did?
Is that the original?
First Southern Football League Player Life members.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Christmas Beach Hotel.
Yes.
Great day.
You did become a Player Life member a few years after that.
Yeah, I did.
Because you started with the Vale, Walk Vale, and then came here.
Yeah.
But that was Johnny Hall was telling me that he actually approached the Southern Football League about doing it, and they said, "Oh, hang on, that's going to cost us a bit of money." But how big was that day?
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was the very first. So I think we had about, from memory, there was 100 plus life members. And you think, how in the hell are you going to get up and introduce 100 life members?
Yeah.
But we did it in groups, and it was just so funny because you've got a lot of the old timers from the Vale and McLaren Flat. Yeah. And they come up and they had a spokesman and they told stories, but it was a great day. I don't know about it costing money. I think we all paid our way anyway, but that was a really good day.
I know that you were going to touch on Bobby Lloyd, who was captain of the 75.
Yeah, I have to.
Bob actually got was made a Player Life member on that.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I can't remember.
On the first, yes.
It's 50 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
I just wanted to make a point about Bob. I mean, Bobby would have said that he always he wanted to play A-grade footy, and he did play a lot of A-grade footy. Yeah. But his ability in the B-grade was just something else. Yeah. My first captain was Coxie. Yeah. He was just he won a mile medal, I think, from memory. And then the next year, Bobby Lloyd won a mile medal. Yeah. But they were just the engine room. And we had a lot of kids. Yeah. We had a lot of oldies, but Joey Brown was involved in that. And I'm just looking through this side, and there was some Maury Bennett and Mick Hall. Mick Holker, he was our full forward. So we had a really fixed up side. Yeah. But Bobby Lloyd was the linchpin, and for that year in 75, 74, 76. Yes. And I'm glad to see he'll be here tonight, I gather.
Yes, he should be here. Yeah.
Good to see him. He's one of the great club members of the Reynella Footy Club.
Yeah. So we go to 1978, is when we did come back up here. There is a few photos of you with a bit curly hair back in the day, in the front of a band called Mobius. Yeah. Not the band, but you with a guy called Tony Ball. Yeah. When this club was opened. Yeah. We had 300 people. I can remember being here.
Was you allowed to be here?
I was turned 18 that year.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah, and how big amount of people that we had in here that day when this club was opened. So.
Oh, man, we had, I can't specifically recall that day. I do know we've had some enormous shows here because we filled both ends, stage in the middle, dance up and down. Yeah. They were just fantastic days. We had, I remember going to a couple of ladies' nights.
Yes.
I did one because they reckoned I was getting attacked the first year, so I said, I'll look after the bar.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really want to do it after that because that was dangerous. We used to have our stairs down the bottom. We used to have our sauna and our spa.
Yes, yeah.
I remember we played a trial game against Berry one year, and the lads put half a bottle of hair shampoo in it. Yeah. We came in at half time and we couldn't get in the clubhouse in the change room because the bloody bubbles were running out the door. Yeah. So this had a lot of in the early days was just humming. Yes. Yeah. And I guess we started out as a community centre. That was the plan. Yes. You had to be a member of the community club to play footy.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's been successful.
Yeah. and you couldn't, back in those days, you had to have someone that invited you in, so you had to get three people would invite in on one membership. And old Ken Sims used to sit at the door.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you weren't allowed her in unless you were signed in.
Yeah,
so that was a little bit different to what today is. So,
well, yeah. So they were really good days. I made a lot of good friends. I continued on after footy with so many of the people. We went. Stansbury became a place for us to go over there. We used to have the Reynella Rams play the Stansbury Sooks at cricket. They were bloody fantastic days. And I've still got a lot of good mates from the early days, you know. One of the guys I haven't mentioned, and I really should, who took over as the coach in '76 after I'd given away the B grade coaching, was Goldie. Yeah, Jeff Goldsmith. Yeah, he was one of my good mates. Yeah. We sort of agreed that we should be playing against each other because he was one of the few guys I could build. And him and I had a few arguments out in the field, but we were good mates off the field, and he was what a great player he was. He was a really good player. So the other thing now, you know, we had our past players' days against Morpeth Vale, but there has been a big thing to get some of the people back together during the year, which you got 20 or 30 blokes went to work a meal up at Victoria Hotel. Yeah, that's right. During this year or the year last year. So that's something that we're trying to get everyone back together. And our past players is pretty strong here. We were here last year when we had a bit of and this 50th year anniversary is pretty big. So, well, 50 years is a long while, and there's a lot of water going under the bridge and that. But I'm proud to be a member of the Reynella Footy Club and a life member. Yeah. I'm proud to have played here. Yeah. I made as a lot of friends. I enjoyed success and more success. And I just can't thank you enough for what you're doing to make this show worthwhile for us. And I hope it's a really good night. Yeah. Well, I just like to say thanks, Ian, for coming up today. And hopefully everyone will enjoy this on the night. And let's have a great night. Sure do. Thank you very much. Thank you. And welcome to Peter Jumbo Jeffries, the 1975 Premiership coach. This year we'll celebrate 50 years of that great premiership in 1975. And also it was a rare feat for the Reynella Footy Club. We won the A grade and B grade for the first time twice this week. So welcome, Peter Jumbo Jeffries. Thank you, Jack. Just want to ask you a few questions. Sure. Being here today, 52 years ago, you got appointed as a coach of Reynella. What were the facilities like when you first came here? Pretty average. I mean, I was used to playing for West Torrens and changing at all the league homes in the city. I came down here, of course, and the old grandstand. We changed underneath. Our poor opposition had a tin shed to change in. And when it rained, the floor flooded in their section. So they were always beaten before they got here. And Saturday nights after the games, we used to go down to the Crown Inn Hotel. Yep. I'd stand on the pool table. We'd give out the cup for the best player for the day. And they were good days. A lot of fun. Yeah. As you said, you spoke about the grandstand. That was the change rooms back in the day. And I think it wasn't until 1976 when the part of the club was built down the bottom, so which you still didn't use was only used for drinking after the game. So that was the first year. So that was in your last year. That's correct. Yeah. So, as I said, we're here to talk about the 1975 grand final. But prior to that, in 1973 and 74, you took Reynella into the two grand finals. We did, yeah. We played. We got beaten by Port Noarlunga. Yeah. We got beaten by Christie's Beach. Yes. Then, fortunately, won in 1975 against McLaren Flat. Yes. Then we played in the grand final again the next year and got beaten by McLaren Flat. So, in the 4 grand finals, I'm pretty fortunate. At least we got one grand final out of that we can all remember. Yes. Yeah. And one other question I was just going to ask you is, you were from West Torrens, so there was some West Torrens connections, people that came
You also had South Adelaide connections that came to Reynella and some Glenelg players in your period over those 4 years.
That's correct. When I got here in 73, Freddie was here.
Yeah.
Ian Threadgold had been appointed as the B grade coach, and he brought some really good players to the club. George Zaleski, Dennis Williams, Ray Hendry, really good players, and a couple of mates of mine, Malcolm Beals and Trevor Glastonbury from West Torrens came here. And I'm not sure about the Glenelg players. Why they were here, I'm not sure. But
Jeff Shepherd was only one.
That's okay.
Yes.
And 1 year we got the ex player from Glenelg that kicked 100-odd goals here.
Okay.
What was his name? McCarthy?
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy, yeah. So, we had some terrific players in those days. And look, the nucleus of that team for those 4 years was probably 6 or 8 or 10 of us that were able to bond, and that's why we played 4 grand finals in a row. We had a good side, a very good side. We should have probably won 2 or 3 of the bloody things, but nevertheless, we got one.
But I'd just like to say how strong a competition it was back then, because the South had really moved as far as housing. People started to come out and live out here. So we got a lot of ex-league footballers or people that had played seconds footy come here. So Christie's Beach were pretty strong, Porties were strong and flat. So a very good competition.
Sure was.
When you come in. The other thing I was going to touch on was a couple of young players that came through our senior Colts that you might speak about with Gary Beasley and Kevin Walker.
Yes, terrific players. Gary Beasley on the wing.
Yep.
And very quick, he was a bit maybe 19 or years of age, 18 or 19 when I got here. Kevin Walker, what they called him, what was his nickname? Magic.
The Magic, yes.
Magic.
Great player.
And I think he played half foot flank. He was very elusive, and they were really good players while I was here. I enjoyed watching them grow up and become the footballers that they were. Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
The 1975 grand final, the photo was taken here in October. There was actually written in the minutes of 1975, which we've still got the old minute book. And we've got Peter Jumbo Jeffries sitting here with the Premiership Shield, the photo from 1975. There's a jumper at the end. Jumbo's holding the 1975 match ball, and we've got the Reynella beating McLaren Flat, the chimney, which we started back in the 90s, and every team that's ever won an A-grade premiership now has the side they beat and the colours of the team they beat. So to Peter, having that photo back in 1975 taken here, there was a couple of people that missed the photo with Colin Johnson and Malcolm Beals, which we will inset before the 12th of July. But your memories of the 1975 grand final?
Well, gee, it was a long time ago, 50 years. Yeah, but we played McLaren Flat. They were coached by a good friend of mine, Wayne Potter.
Yep.
And he was a very good footballer.
Yep.
Their team was full of Sturt players.
Yes.
John Koleski, Romeo Zoanetti, John Blythman from Norwood, Bagshaw's brother. They had a hell of a team, but so did we.
Yep.
And after losing the 2 grand finals, 73, 74, I think the nucleus of the team that we still had were not prepared to lose another one.
Yeah.
And we fought really hard that day. I remember it rained a bit. We ended up beating them by 3-4. Players like Phil Temby and that really excelled on the day, Ray Hendry. And so, that day, for the players and the supporters, I think, it'd been a while since they'd won a premiership, and it was just great that we could finally win one and breathe a sigh of relief. Yeah.
And the great thing on that day was the B grade won the premiership as well, which was the first time in the club's history that the A and B had won, remembering that Reynella only won their first premiership in 1969. So it even made a bigger day when the A grade and B grade won. But also that year, we had our minis, which were under 10s, our subbies, which were under 12s, our under 15 junior Colts, and our senior Colts all made the finals. And I think that we had 3 sides in the preliminary final. Unfortunately, two of the junior sides didn't get through, but the B grade did. So it was a great year, and people don't realise there was 6 games played on the ground every week. So the ground took a pretty bit of a hammering back in those days.
And look, I remember Freddie coached the B grade, and I remember using their win as part of my ammunition for the A grade to get out there and make it a double header, make it A and a B grade, and that was also part of my strategy. So I'm glad it worked. I'm glad it was for Freddie that he got a grand final out of it, and end of the day, it was just a fantastic afternoon. Yeah.
Can you remember where the celebrations were after the game?
Well, I think we came back to the pub, and then we ended up back at my place at O'Halloran Hill here, and I think the pub donated a keg, and somebody rolled up with a keg, and my house was on a bit of an angle, and so they rolled this bloody keg down the front yard into my laundry in the house. Of course, none of us knew how to tap a keg, so I banged the thing in there, and it shot straight up to the ceiling all over the place. And everybody walked into it, and it walked all through the house. And my wife was really cross at the end of the day, but that's the way it was in those days. We all enjoyed it. Yeah.
As I said, 1975 was only the second premiership in our A grade history, and we thank you for coming here today. And with all these mementos here, the shield, as we can see, was presented in 1920 for the first time, and we're on that shield, so it was fantastic. Yeah.
And thanks, Zach. I'm just glad to be a little part of the history of the Reynella Footy Club. Always been a favourite club of mine to come back and catch up with the old players, and looking forward to July the 12th when we can celebrate with all the rest of them.
Welcome back to this interview with Peter Jumbo Jeffries. We are sitting in front of the PG Wright Memorial Board, which has all our live members on the back, and we're just going to touch on some of the sort of club legends and the old people that Peter knew back 50 years ago, and we're just going to ask Peter to talk about some of those old fellas that were involved when you were here, Peter.
Yeah, well, look, it was quite a change for me coming from where I playing footy for West Torrens to coming and having to change in the old grandstand. But when I did get here, I think inside the grandstand was pretty average. So we had a bit of a working bee, and we painted all the panels black and white. And I always remember Sunday morning training that everybody hated, but we'd come here, and one of the old stages used to give us a drink of Madeira. And so we'd sit around drinking Madeira, smoking cigarettes. Some trained, some didn't. And I'm trying to remember his name. It was Arthur Tickle. Yeah. And Arthur's offsider was Cyril Merritt. They were a pair of characters that were around the club. And, clubs revolve around those sorts of guys. And Cyril Aylmore was president. Des Halliday was secretary. Just a great bunch of guys, and I don't think anybody realises how much effort and time is put in by these people behind the scenes, particularly guys like Zach and those guys that keep the past players going, Greenie, and it's really a valuable way to go with most footy clubs.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to just touch on the association football. When you came to play for Reynella, you represented the Southern the 4 years that you were here, and a couple of winning Lubbock Shields, and then you became the coach. Can you talk a little bit about that, those days?
Yeah, sure. I mean, when you play footy in this league or these leagues, I mean, it's a credit to the players that get picked in the association team. And yeah, I played the first two. And then when we won the premiership in 1975, I ended up coaching them in 76. And we played at places like Murray Bridge and Mobilong and Mannum and all over the place. It was a lot of fun. And when I coached in 1976, we played at Football Park. And we got thrashed. Yeah. So I do remember that. It wasn't the best time. And I think the Hills beat us quite convincingly there. But that was my last year here, and then I moved on and to other areas and coaching elsewhere. But my 4 years here were some of the best memories I've got.
Yeah. I will touch on that you did when you left here, and you did have a year at Wollonga winning the male medal in 1979, and you did play against Reynella and beat Reynella in a preliminary final, and you went on to play in another grand final for Wollonga against Norfolk Vale. So, and then you went on to play to coach Porties, Port Wollonga, but in 1983 in the Great Southern, which is pretty rare thing, you took them top.
That's correct. My Ponga. Yeah, I only had the 1 year there, but in between times, as you say, I played for Wollonga for 1 year, and then I coached Port Wollonga, which was a bit of a disaster. And I ended up at my Ponga in 1983, and we won the premiership that year. And that was my last year of playing. I was pretty tired and battle sore by then, and I gave the job to my assistant coach Mark Gemelli, and they won it again in 1984. So they won back to back. Never did it again, and they won the premiership last year by 1 point. So good history there too.
Yeah. Now I'm going to touch on 2005. We had the centenary day here, and we did a team of the century. We had 13 people that went way back to after the war years and picked a team, which was pretty hard to get the first early years. We didn't have all that information. But when the team came up, Jumbo, you became the vice captain of the team of the century. Darcy Cox was coach and Jeff Lewis was captain. But out of that team, when you were here, some of the players like Ray Horsfall, Jeff Goldsmith, Mark Moffat, that made that team, and it was a great day. So you became a part of the team of the century. So it was a great day here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Once again, you know, you're humble when you get those opportunities. And you mentioned Ray Horsfall. When I got here, he was growing, and he was a good ruckman. He was really top shelf. By the time I left here, not necessarily because of me, but the years that came by, and I think he played another 5 or 6 years here, he turned into a really great ruckman. Jeff Goldsmith, of course, came from Port Wollonga, went back to Port Wollonga when we won the premiership. He's kicked himself ever since. And, to get into the team of century, vice captain with all those great players was really, I was really pleased with that.
Yeah. The other thing I just wanted to touch on was that in 75, you kicked 38 goals. What was it like playing in the forward line with Mark Moffat, and there was a bloke called Ian Threadgold that they reckon that used to try and sneak in and get all the goals?
Thready, the mouth.
Yeah.
Well, he was a good player. You ask him, he'll tell you, but he was a good player, Thready, truly was. And we called him Bartlett, I think, because he didn't want to handball when he was anywhere within about 60 metres of the goals. But that's not necessarily true. But Moffat, full forward, was a really strong player. And every time we played against McCurran Flat, he'd stood that John Koleski, and John Koleski would smack him in the nose, and poor old Moff ended up with a nose like a prize fighter. And but he never gave up, Moff. He was always trying hard. And mind you, the ball went down there a lot. And I played centre half forward. I played ruck rover, so in and out of the forward line. But they were good days. They were really good days.
Just want to touch, because I was 14 years old in 75 at the start of the year playing in the senior Colts. One of the great things back then is that we were the opportunity to get out at quarter time, 3/4 time, and listen to some of your talks. There was an odd few times that you gave a few players a spray, but I always remember that you used to give, as if you were talking to Malcolm Bills and giving everyone him a spray, but it was actually at the team. Was that something that you sort of did to sort of that Billsy would just sort of be stone-faced and didn't say anything?
Not necessarily. I mean, Malcolm Bills was probably a bit of a scapegoat at times, but he was such a trooper, and he never gave up, and he was only 6'3" or something as a ruckman, and our second ruckman, and perhaps, in those days it was a bit of fire and brimstone, yelling and swearing at them, a long way away from what they do today, but not necessarily. No, it was generally a team spray, and I didn't like to pick out individuals. Occasionally I did.
Yeah, and I always remember like the guys like Cyril Arnold and all the old blokes would come out with the tarp. There was oranges, the drinks. There might have been a few times he said they didn't deserve a drink, but the back in those days when the old Southern Times would come out and there was the write up about the footy and that, Reynella were pretty hated back in those days because they played in so many grand finals, and not just in football but in cricket and tennis, the whole club was very strong. Some of the blokes that went on and played tennis or cricket. But there was another thing that you did was you played for the Crown End Killers in cricket, and I think you played in the Premiership, Jumbo.
Well, I don't know about, I can't remember that. I do remember a few players that were in there, Greenie and Terry Huppets and a few others. That was Sunday pub cricket.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that immensely. But going back to when I came here to Reynella, I didn't realise how feared they were.
Yeah.
And we just got stronger and stronger. And every club knew if they played Reynella, they were in for a hard fight. And gee, we gave it to them for 4 years in a row. And they knew when they come up against us, it was going to be all on. And in those days, there was fighting and punching and all sorts of things happening. So we were right in amongst it.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it all.
Yeah. And one thing, I know that you're retired now, but you've taken on a big thing. The West Highlands Football Club every 3 months or something has a show. You're involved with Johnny Graham and a lot of the West Highlands blokes. What's that like to be involved with that, Peter?
Well, that's terrific because I'm the MC and we've just got a small committee of 6 of us and we get 150 people to the luncheon, and that's including past players like Glenn Pill and those sorts of guys that played, Lindsay Head, of course. But once again, we've opened it up to husbands, wives, trainers, supporters, and they enjoy being part of the day. And I enjoy catching up with a lot of the old players. And when you look at people like Lindsay Head, he played 327 league games, and Glenn Pill 256, and Johnny Graham 200. I played 15, so spread over 3 or 4 years. But to be part of it was a great time in my life. Yeah.
And I know you've spoken about you've always come back to Reynella. But I remember in 2010 when Reynella went top, you were pretty emotional that day, seeing Reynella hadn't won one for about 20 or 30 years. So it was a great day. I remember that day, the crowd. But you've always come back to Reynella for the past players. In the Southern Football League, you are an icon. And I'd just like to thank you very much today for coming and doing this interview, but also looking forward to the 12th of July when we have this great night at the Reynella Football Club.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed my time here, and it's one of my special places. So I'll continue to come along as I'm still alive.
And just before we finish, I'd like to thank Sarah Lapierre that's taken the time out today to come along with a camera and do this interview. Thank you very much.
A long interview.
Yeah, thank you.